right here, Brother Kev, Sin Kev, and I want to give a shout out to Brother Kevin. And I certainly have to give a big Nile Valley Movement shout out to the GRIOT News. Absolutely. And if you don't know what a GRIOT is, G-R-I-O-T, look it up. You should know what that is. That's a walking library. That's what that is. And we've had them plentiful in Africa from time immemorial. So yeah, I've been right here doing what I always do. Just putting in work and just engaged in that resurrection work. I'm all about that resurrection work. You know.
So last time we seen you, Shakka, you had a book out called the Codex. Why don't you fill us in on what's going on with that?
Absolutely. The title of the book is Codex Gameover. It's called Codex Gameover, a documented collation of the original ancient Egyptian African text and the later biblical plagiarized version. And this is something that I'm recommending all black people get, especially if you're a black parent. If you're a black parent, you want to get this book, Codex Gameover by Shakka Ahmose, myself. You want to get this because they, you know, historically speaking in this country, they mess us up as black people. They mess us up every Sunday and they soften our brain to get us ready for the other mind job they're going to do on us Monday through Friday in the full system. This is the school system. You understand what I'm saying? Well, I meant full system. And so having this book right here, it will help you get rid of all of the mythologies and the myths about Jesus Christ, about the Bible, and just history in general, because when people burden you with that story, they interfere with your perspective on history and God. And that's important because as human beings, we're always trying to see ourselves in relationship to everything, particularly in relationship to time. And that whole Jesus story, what it does is it interrupts that relationship. And I mean, even deeper than that, it interrupts quite a few other things. But this book, what I've done is I've taken the original ancient Egyptian text and I've collated it line by line with the plagiarized biblical version so that you can see where the Bible verse actually came from, where they took it out of the Egyptian text. And that's what I do all the way through the entire book. You know, the very first one is, thou will be born again. And as I said in one of my recent lectures, for every verse that I read in the pyramid text that I find in the Bible, the Kemetic community is taking it back, and they're no longer allowed to use it. And if they do use it, they're at least going to have to give credit. You know, so other than that, you know, it's a plagiarized game, but I would highly recommend that you get this book, Codex Gameover. There's never been a book like it in history, and I'm not saying that because I wrote it. That, in fact, that's the reason I wrote it, because I was looking for something like this in my research so that I could be able to prove and to share evidence with people, but I couldn't find anything with all of the verses collated in one place, and so that's what I did. Normally, you can find one or two here and there, but nothing anywhere near as extensive as what's in here. And so, and though it may look small, it's extensive. When you go in, I mean, I dare anybody to read it and try to memorize even just 2 or 3 pages of the different verses that have been taken out of the pyramid text and put into the Bible. So I strongly recommend that you get this book.
Tough question. I've heard, observed, and watched certain Hebrews say, that's not a book, it's a pamphlet. What do you have to say to that?
Well, if this is a pamphlet, then this is also a pamphlet. But first I'm going to show you what it is. This is a book, not a pamphlet. This is a book. It's a well-known book. It's called The Teachings of Ptah-hotep, the oldest book in the world, by Asa G. Hilliard III, Larry Williams, and Nia Damali. Well, they were the editors. And basically what this is it is a translation of what is literally the oldest book in the world, which is called The Teachings of Ptah-hotep. They come out of the Sebayet of ancient Egypt, the wisdom teachings of ancient Egypt. And this dates back to the Old Kingdom, if I'm correct, either the Old Kingdom or the early Middle Kingdom. And I know it comes after the Book of Kagemi. But in any event, if you see how small it is, if you can see how small it is, it's virtually the same size as my book. So if this is not a pamphlet, and it's not a pamphlet, then why is mine a pamphlet? The Hebrew Israelites have to tell you that it's a pamphlet to try to discourage you from reading it and from purchasing it, because they don't want you to see what's inside of it. In fact, most of the people who have bought my book have been the Hebrew Israelites, because they want to get up in there and see what it is that I've uncovered about their own religion. They want to see the source material, where their religion came from, and then try to disprove it. Unfortunately, they're having a very hard time disproving it. You can't prove what's carved in stone. The pyramid texts are carved in stone, and they've been there for at least 5,000 years. Easy. At least 5,000 years easy. And so, therefore, if the teachings of Ptah-hotep is not a pamphlet, then Codex Gameover is not a pamphlet either. So, thank you very much. I'll give you another one. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen. He put a book out called The Chronology of the Bible. Here it is, The Chronology of the Bible. You could buy it online at Amazon.com or any other reputable black book site. Well, my book, Codex Gameover, is thicker than Dr. Ben's Chronology of the Bible. If this is not a pamphlet and is classified as a book, and it is, then how can mine, which is thicker, be qualified as a pamphlet? It's a book. It is indeed a book. So again, it's just more misinformation from the Hebrew Israelites. That's something that they seem to be very adept at. And that's really unfortunate that people would devote so much time to misinformation and try to mislead black people. The one thing that I really take offense to is anyone, black or white, trying to mislead black people. I don't care if you mislead any other group. Don't try to mislead black people, because when you do that, I've never been able to explain why. I take that very personally. I take that very personally. I think it's probably because I know what we've given to the world by way of information, knowledge, and wisdom. I know what our ancestors gave to civilization. I think that we as a race and as a group of people, I think we deserve better than that. We deserve better than to be misled and to be fed false information. So here's a book I want to introduce you to a book by Dr. John G. Jackson out of Rutgers University and the City College of New York. He's no longer with us, but this was a giant of a scholar. And in fact, he was one of Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen's and Dr. John Henry Clark's mentor. And this is his book, Ethiopia and the Origin of Civilization. Now, and this book was published like in the late 30s, I'm pretty sure. You can usually tell by the print. And if you look at the print, this type of print was used back in that time. So I can look at it and tell that it was published in the 30s. Well, my book, not the pamphlet, my book, the Codex Gameover, is bigger and thicker than Ethiopia, the Origin of Civilization by Dr. John G. Jackson. So why is his a book and mine's a pamphlet if mine is bigger and thicker and has just as much value, in fact, more important information than Dr. John G. Jackson's book? And that's no disrespect or slight to Dr. John G. Jackson, because I consider myself a student of Dr. John G. Jackson. But Dr. John G. Jackson does not have in his work what I have in Codex Gameover. This is primary source. This is primary material. This is historical narrative. That's what this is. This is historical narrative. It's very insightful, chock full of very, very valid and verifiable information. It's just straight up veracity, right? This book, this is primary evidence. This is straight off the walls of the pyramid of ancient Kemet, the pyramids of ancient Egypt. Okay, and let me clear something up. Well, you know, I'm going to save that for a lecture, because I've seen some people on YouTube. Thank you. I've seen some people on YouTube try to assail the translations in this book. I'm going to give a lecture specifically about the translation in this book, where they came from, and why they are legitimate. And I've seen 1 or 2 videos on YouTube entitled Shakka Ahmose's Codex Gameover Debunked. People honestly are under the false impression, Kevin, that just by attaching the word debunked to a video, that they have in fact somehow achieved what they claim to have achieved. And to someone like myself, I think I would say humorous, but to me it's more it's disappointing. It's disappointing because I know that people who don't really, or persons who don't apply themselves scholarly wise to the level that they should to, in fact, be able to attempt to debunk what's in this book, make grandiose claims like that, as if they've actually debunked what's in here. The reason why that's sad is because that's like debunking gravity. Gravity it's real. You can't debunk gravity. So I'm going to put up a music video, or I'm going to put up a video saying, I have debunked gravity. So if you're going to sit there and take me serious, then that speaks about your own mind. So that's like somebody saying that they have debunked Codex Gameover. You can't debunk reality. You understand what I'm saying? I would ask that same person, why is the sky blue? And they can't answer me. But yet, you know what I'm saying? They can't tell me why the sky is blue, but they can tell me that they've debunked Codex Gameover. See, I can tell you why the sky is blue. The average person cannot. Do you know why the sky is blue, Kevin?
Of course.
Tell me why.
It's the gases from the sunlight that hits, makes it blue. They dissipate during the evening, turn red in different colors.
That's not the textbook answer.
Okay.
And it was a good, it was in the neighborhood. It was in the neighborhood of what is correct. I'm not going to give you the answer. I'll give him the answer when the camera's off. It's one of my favorite questions to ask people. Only because I like to always impress upon people that we take things for granted. And that children, before they get dumbed down, they're really the most intelligent of the human species. Because they know what questions are the most important. And every child always asks those fundamental questions that darn near every parent can't answer. So what do children ask? Mommy, why is the sky blue? Mommy don't know. Mommy could tell you how much those heels cost. Mommy could tell you how much it costs to get her nails done, right? Daddy could tell you how much those Laker tickets cost, or who won the Jet game. But neither mommy or daddy could tell the baby an exact definitive answer of why the sky is blue. So our children start out with a psychological deficit because of our value system when it comes to the things that we make important. And because I know that that's the state of the things that we're dealing with around here, just in general, in the world, on the planet, I personally can tell you no one has debunked this at all. And I would say anybody who can debunk it, you know, put up some money, hit me up, challenge me, and we'll make it happen on stage. You know, real talk.
Where can a person buy that?
Oh, they can go. They can go to the website, to thenilevalleymovement.com, the www.thenilevalleymovement.com. I'll spell it out for you. www.thenilevalleymovement.com. So that's thenilevalleymovement.com. If you go to the website, and you click on titles and apparel, you'll see the book, Codex Gameover, amongst some other things on that page. But I would highly recommend that you get it. If you can get it on Amazon.com too. In fact, it's selling very well in Europe as well. So normally, books will get placed on Amazon.com's foreign pages when there seems to be a demand for it. And so this book is also on their foreign pages, on their UK page as well. So I have been getting a lot of orders from the UK as well as places like Switzerland, and even as far as Africa, Rwanda and Guinea. So, and shout out to Guinea, and shout out to my African people back home in the motherland, on the continent. Thank you so much for the love. It means everything. Just to know that I'm inspiring you to know who you are on your own soil, on our own soil, makes a difference. It makes a very big difference, because we forget, as American Africans, we are ignorant of the fact that our people back home were just as colonized, if not more so, as brutally, if not more so, because the colonizer had to fight harder to do it over there than he did over here. See, when they brought us over here, things were already pacified. They didn't have to pacify us over here. That process had to take place someplace else. And so that's an experience that our people have inherited. A lot of people don't know. You have people born in West Africa, born and raised in West Africa, have no American relations whatsoever, with last names like Johnson, Williams, Williamson, Brixton, you know, these European Western names, because the same process took place over there. The same process, the changing of family names, taking away the names and taking away the religions, you know. So, you know, yeah, good luck with debunking that, with debunking Game Over. Why would you want to debunk it? I would think you should just want to learn from it. Like I said to one of my brothers who happens to be a Hebrew Israelite, who considers himself and defines himself as a Hebrew Israelite, I said to him, he told me that I was unfair in giving it the title that I gave it, and that it was biased. And I said, no, it's not biased. I said, I put this book together, which took a lot of research. I took a lot of original research. That's why you can't find many of the translations in here in any other books, or you can't find many of these collations in any other books. And while we're at it, just to make sure that this is not a pamphlet, I want to show you another book. This is a book by a West African writer named Kwame Osai. It's called The Ancient Egyptians Are Here. And I want to show it to you. Okay? This is by Kwame Osai, and it's called The Ancient Egyptians Are Here. It's one of my favorite books, written by a West African writer. You know, a lot of people kill me when they say, you know, you American-born Africans, your lineage is from West Africa. Why do you claim ancient Egypt? Well, before I even go into that part, the first thing I would tell them is that you need to consider this. The West Africans themselves are claiming ancient Egypt. This book is written by a West African, and it's called The Ancient Egyptians Are Here. The reason he's saying are here, he's saying that they are in West Africa. So if the West African writers are claiming ancient Egypt, why is it wrong for those of us who descend from West Africans to claim ancient Egypt? It would make no sense for us not to. If our ancestors back home and our lineage, our matrilineal and patrilineal lineage back home in West Africa, in Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria, and all these other places, if they are claiming their ancient Nile Valley ancestry, and if we come from those people, then we're supposed to claim it as well. Why do we have to stop and get stuck at West Africa? People are always trying to compartmentalize black people, particularly American black people. They want to tell us, this is who you are, this is where you need to look, and this is where you need to stay. So it's like you're a dog and they go, stay. You know? And it's like, nah. That might be my dog and I might be his dog, but we ain't dogs. You feel me? So in any event, The Ancient Egyptians Are Here is the same size as my book, right? Codex Gameover. This is a book. It's not a pamphlet. They're the same size. This is a book. This is a book. This is a book. So much with you. And I won't even show the other books that I was going to show. These are the other books. And these are books. These are general books. Some of them are pretty hard to get. I have one by Charles Finch, Africa and the Birth of Science and Technology, by Charles Finch out of Morehouse Medical College, right? Thank you, right? I also have Africa, The Wonder and the Glory by Anna Melissa Graves. This is another older book. This is probably published in the 70s, late 60s, but it's a really good book, and I highly recommend that you get it if you can. It's called Africa, The Wonder and the Glory. It's not a pamphlet. It's a book. Dr. Ben's book. Welcome Back Home, Black Anti-Semite Jew, the Black Jew Outside the Door. Hard to get book by Dr. Yosef Ben Yakin, and I have quite a few of his hard to get books. But if you can get it, get it. But his book, thank you, Kevin. His book is no larger, thank you very much. His book is no larger than my book, Codex Gameover. So if Dr. Ben can write a book that size, why can't I write a book that size? I think I'm keeping pretty good company. So I'm keeping company with Dr. Ben. As far as the size of my book is concerned, even the content, I'm keeping company with Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen. I'm keeping company with Dr. John G. Jackson, as well as Dr. Charles Finch out of Morehouse College, out of Morehouse Medical School. So, I mean, stop with the misinformation, and we need to stop, what's the word that I'm looking for? Stop trying to diminish the works that we as a people are producing. If it goes against your ideology, then deal with the scholarship inside of it. Deal with the I wouldn't care if it was only 2 pages. If the 2 pages that I put in this book has more value than the 800 pages in your Bible, then it's still a more valuable book. But there are quite a few more pages than just 2 pages in here. You understand what I'm saying? So I would tell you, and I'll open you and show it to you. If you go through, I challenge you to remember all of the different collations in the book. you're going to have quite a few collations to memorize. And you can go through the Bible and find them. You don't have to go to the Bible because I name the sources in here. I name the verses and the chapters that you need to go to in the Bible and the book that you need to go to in the Bible to find, to see it. You won't even have to do it. With this book, you can walk into any church, any mosque, or any synagogue, and you can shut down the imam, you can shut down the pastor, you can shut down the rabbi. Because here is the evidence. For the first time in the history of mankind, here is the evidence. And I can say that. I can say that without flinching and without batting the eyelash because it's the truth. It's ma'at. For the first time in the history of mankind, you have the evidence collated in one place to show where the biblical literature came from, what its ancient Egyptian African sources are. And I say ancient Egyptian African because a lot of people still seem to be confused about whether ancient Egypt was black or African. I would also like to submit to black people, particularly on YouTube, stop wasting your time debating with white people and Arabs the race and ethnicity of the ancient Egyptians. Because when you do that, it makes it appear, I mean, you wouldn't debate your mother's race. You know your mother and your father. Would you debate with somebody what color they were? You know what color they were. The evidence is there. All anyone has to do is look at the pictures that they left. We don't have to get into all of this DNA nonsense and all of this other silliness. That's a distraction and to create subterfuge. That's all it is, to get you distracted from the physical evidence that speaks for itself. When you look on the walls, you're looking at black people looking back at you, and I'm not talking about the so-called Nubian captives or the Nubian slaves. You understand what I'm saying? The ancient Egyptians themselves. If you don't know a black person when you're looking at them, then stay out of the argument, or don't argue with a person that doesn't, because that shows you the level and measure of their IQ. It's a waste of breath and a waste of time. It's better that you spend that time grabbing a young black person and saying, hey, look, the ancient Egyptians were indeed black African people. This is why it's important that you know that. See, the fact that they were black is not important if a young black person or even older black person or some black Christian in the church somewhere that is ignorant of that fact, if they don't know why that's important, then you're not really doing your job. I'm not doing my job. Sarah Sutin Seti, Brother Polite, or whoever else that has taken the mantle upon their shoulders, or even Brother Kevin out of GRIOT News. He's not doing his job if we are not making it clear to people why it's important. See, the most important question, as Dr. Francis Cress Welsing always said, the brain computer expresses itself in terms of why. Why? Why is green green? Why do things have tastes? This is where science comes from. This is where knowledge comes from. That's an epistemological value system. It's not a belief-based value system, which is much lower, much more, if you want to use the term, primitive. You understand what I'm saying? So, gotta be careful with that term primitive because of the connotations with it. But why? Everything about why. So when people say the ancient Egyptians are black, the first question you should ask is, well, why is that important? You know, we could deal with that some other time, but just dare to answer the question. So any other?
Yeah, before we wrap it up,
right.
Just real quick.
The Nile Valley movement, all day, every day. That's what we rap.
Just to wrap it up real quick and not
right.
to get onto a negative feel, but got to ask the question.
Sure.
There's things that have been going on
right.
between yourself and Cyanide in the House of Conscious.
Right.
I want to just give the people of kind of what happened, what's going on, real short, and where you guys are right now.
Okay.
To let the viewers know. Because everybody's been concerned about
right. Okay. Let me just say this. Number one, Saneda and myself, Saneda was basically going through some difficult times. He recently had a family loss, a loss of family. And sometimes when things like that occur, we don't make the best decisions that we can make at that time. And something of that nature occurred. And I reacted poorly to it. I reacted very poorly to it. And rather than settling it just between himself and myself, I would have to take responsibility for firing the first public shot by posting about it on Facebook. And so from there, it just escalated. And so, but I have to give him his props and his credit. Well, first I got to really give credit to, if I'm going to give credit to anybody, I got to give credit to Brother Polite. Because Brother Polite called me from California, all the way from California, and because he was very concerned about it. And he expressed himself in no short way about how he felt about the whole thing, about how destructive it was, about how no one was going to benefit from the conflagration between, the escalating conflagration between Sarnetta and myself. And what the brother said had a lot of wisdom in it. And you know that we as men, particularly, you know, we don't pretend that we don't come from the street, because we do. Even me with my background, I still grew up in the street. You understand what I'm saying? So because of that, there are some things that come with that, that we as an evolving people are going to have to learn to relinquish. We're going to have to learn to let go of it. And I'll tell you something else. Even amongst American black people, there is such a thing as royalty. And those of us in the conscious community, we are the royalty of our people. Even if it's you who are watching this, if you are a member of the conscious community and you have knowledge of self and you are historically grounded in your culture and in your history, then you, by virtue of that fact, you are the royalty amongst your people. And what you have to understand is that royalty has one obligation: to put the welfare of the people before their own personal welfare. That's what makes royalty royalty. So you can't just say, I'm royal, and then feel good about it, because there are responsibilities and obligations that come along with being royal. And so knowing that, I had to put my own personal feelings aside with respect to what occurred between Sarnetta and myself. And I have to give Sarnetta his credit. Sarnetta actually, I actually called Sarnetta after speaking with Polite. I was the one who made that call, who extended himself. I extended myself to Sarnetta, but Sarnetta was the one who made the initial apology. And his apology really surprised me, because Sarnetta is not the most apologetic person in the world. Anybody who knows Sarnetta, who's seen him, he's not the most apologetic person in the world. But this brother apologized to me from his heart, from his soul. He really did. More, and not just in words, but in actions. And he has been doing so ever since. You understand what I'm saying? So because of that, I always have to remind people, there's room for all of us to grow. Your brother Shakka Ahmose is not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I think that you should always pursue perfection. Oh, without question, uncompromisingly, always pursue perfection. You young black children that are watching this, that is your job. Everything you do, always pursue perfection. That's your standard. That is our standard. And Sarnetta is not perfect, but I think in some ways he certainly tries to pursue perfection. If he didn't, we wouldn't all be watching him. You know, and Sarnetta's right. People love to talk dirty about him and bad about him, but they all watch. They all keep their eye on him. So he has to be doing something. He has to be delivering something. And what we have to do is we have to help our brother grow. Even if it's Sarnetta, even if it's me. I've had, people have seen me in heated dialogue with Hebrew Israelites. But I've even had Hebrew Israelite brothers add to my growth, just as a person. Forget all of the scholarship stuff, all of the history. Just add to my growth as a person. Because sometimes, like I said, because of my street background, I always tell people I have another side. Because of that street thing, sometimes I get a little bit rambunctious and I'm ready to fight, which is not necessarily a good thing. I'm ready to get to address it in uncompromising ways, because that's my nature. And what I've had to learn just as a growing person, as an evolving individual, I've had to learn to forego that immediate satisfaction of making a person feel the way they made me feel, even if it was briefly. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the Hebrew Israelites brother, one of the Hebrew, Brother Hashar, said to me, Shakka, You can't get mad when people call you names and blah, 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 blah. Just let it bounce off your chest. And he's right. He's 100% right. We don't have to agree. Oh, Hashar, I'm coming for you. I'm just letting you know. Real talk. All them little things you pulled out in the Times Square when I was over there spanking you the other day, I found the verse. Well, I'm not even saying that. I saved that for later.
All right, Shaka,
Yeah.
As we wrap it up, I'm going to
Sure.
ask you one more question.
NileValleyMovement.com. TheNileValleyMovement.com all day.
No in particular order, but can you give me your top 5 scholars?
Ooh.
Current top 5 scholars that you know of. No particular order.
Books on the debate scene.
On the debate scene.
On the debate scene?
Yeah,
Oh.
top 5.
Oh, man. See, if I say the top 5, some people are going to get angry.
That's the tough question, brother.
That's a tough question.
Tough question.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Brother Reggie, I put him out there. Absolutely. Brother Reggie's one of the top 5. Sarah Suit Seti, one of the top 5, so that's 2. Let me see, that's 2. Who would I say would be number 3? See, for me to call you a top anything, you have to move me.
Right.
You have to inspire me. You have to make me feel like, oh, I can learn from this person, scholarly wise, and that's a tall order. So,
are you saying Imam Bashir is not in your top 5 list?
You said his name right, Imam Bashir. No, I'm just joking. First of all, I told you before, I made it very clear, and this is all with all due respect to my brother Bashir. I cannot address him with the title Imam, because even though I might not subscribe to their religious worldview, I do acknowledge the gravity and the weight that comes with titles. So if you're telling me that you're an imam, there's something I'm going to expect from you, behavior-wise, definitely behavior-wise, and with respect to your level of knowledge. If you tell me that you're a rabbi, there's something I'm going to expect from you, behavior-wise and with respect to your knowledge. If you tell me that you're a pastor, or, well, not a pastor, I don't expect nothing from a pastor, but lies and him wanting some money, right? You know, there's something that comes along, that should come along with these titles, but maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's wrong for me to expect that from any of that, from these people.
You got 2.
Right.
You got Brother Reggie. You got
Sarah Suit Seti. Scholarship-wise,
you can include yourself if you need be.
I don't want to include myself because I want to start. I'm always, believe it or not.
Okay, you're ranked at 100. Give me the other 3 then. You're the 100th ranked scholar now.
I'm the 100 ranked scholar.
Yeah, we're gonna leave you at 100 since you want to rank yourself. We'll let you be 100. No,
okay.
Fun intended.
All right.
Give me the other 3 if you can. Come on.
Okay, I'll tell you somebody who. Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you somebody who I think has the potential to really be great. I wouldn't consider him one of my top scholars. And this is controversy if you want. I would not consider him one of my top scholars. But I tell you, this brother had the potential to be great. Great. And I don't say that about many people. 'Cause I wouldn't even say that about my top scholar that I named. Now let me show you something. Follow me now. Nile Valley Movement, Nile Valley Civilization is the truth. It's my art.
Thank you for this interview, Brother Shakka. We ran out of time. We'll get back to you on part 2.
Absolutely. NileValleyMovement.com. GRIOT News 7 is just not the same